Welcome. Well, you are at home with Jim and Joy, and you are an important part of our EWTN family. And we are delighted that you have welcomed us into your home. We certainly would love to hear from you. So send us an email with a question or a comment to jimandjoy@EWTN.com. Well, today our guest is Katie Zulanas. She is the Executive Director of the Couple to Couple League International. Have you ever heard of that? Is it being broadcast in your parishes? You could go to their website. It's ccli.org, Couple to Couple League. And we're going to have a wonderful show with Katie. She's very knowledgeable. She's very techie. And she brings to Couple to Couple League all of her gifts and talents in technology and in marketing, and has really brought it current because so many people are doing apps online about their fertility, and so we're going to talk all about that today with Katie.
Well, we asked her the message she wants to convey, and she says this is originating from the encyclical Humanae Vitae over the past 50 years, so they've been in existence 50 years now, Couple to Couple League, to provide excellent scientifically based training in natural family planning and fertility awareness. They provide all the resources necessary. They've established a fertility science institute, so we're waiting to hear all about that. And that this is just cutting edge, as she says, post-Roe. It's a new apostolic age to bring the truth of Humanae Vitae, which is so incredibly beautiful. But if you've never read the document, you need to read the document. And this EWTNRC.com has a document called A Study Guide to Humanae Vitae. We can speak about that more fully, but it speaks about human birth, the context in which that should be taking place. Marriage is that particular context, and the unitive and procreative elements being together and not attacking the procreative elements. You know, so this has been true all down through the ages. The unitive, procreative, a total gift of self, the principle of totality, giving yourself in love to your mate fully, understanding infertile times if for serious reasons you don't believe you should be conceiving at this point, using those infertile times, being aware of that. So she'll unpack all this for us, but I hope you go to EWTN-RC, get a study guide to Humanae Vitae. It has the document in it, Humanae Vitae. It has a study guide, chapter by chapter, with some questions for you to put in. It's beautiful for couples to do together, or moms and their daughters to do together, however you want to do that. It has a glossary for difficult terms that are there. And it has reflections by Father Frank Pavone, Janet Morana, Elvita King, myself. It's a wonderful document, everything there in this beautiful booklet. So there's plenty more to come. This is a very tender subject. It's a wonderful reality, though. The gift, as God grants it, of conceiving children, as it's been taught through the natural law and divine revelation. We'll be right back. Plenty more to come. Don't go away.
Welcome back. Well, you're at home with Jim and Joy, and today our guest is Katie Zulanas. She is the Executive Director of Couple to Couple League International. Please go to this beautiful website. It's ccli.org. And Katie's going to be with us today, and she's going to share with us all about it. Well, Katie, we are delighted to have you. And I know that years ago we had someone else on from the Couple to Couple League, and they informed our family, but a lot has happened in our culture and in our time since then. And so tell us first a little bit about yourself, and then the mission of Couple to Couple League International.
Sure. Well, my husband and I, like you guys, were taught by Couple to Couple League to natural family planning, and it's been a tremendous blessing to us in our marriage. And I'm actually the executive director because we're so grateful for that teaching. And so I've joined in the this long history, so 50 years, of supporting couples through a lifetime of fertility. And we have a lot of great new tools available and programs underway.
And your organization kind of flowed out of Humane Vitae.
Correct.
Right? So it's 54 years old, I guess, Humane Vitae approximately.
Right.
And wonderful document, really helped to transform my life. But at the end of that document, the Holy Father was calling, like, it seemed like everybody in the world to do something. Like, here's the document,
right.
and it's a beautiful document, it's all here. Said, frankly, some people aren't really going to like this document or what's going on here. But this is true. I can't change anything regarding this because this is the natural law. This is the created order, even more than it was divine revelation.
Right.
You know, so he says, I can't change anything, and I don't want to change anything. But then he was calling on everybody in the world. And so what was he saying in that led to the couple-to-couple league? Is there a particular paragraph where he's saying, I want to start the couple-to-couple league, or what
Yes.
happened?
So it was in response to paragraph 26. So John and Sheila Kipley started the couple-to-couple league in 1971 because we're specifically called forth from Humane Vitae for married couples to act as apostle to other married couples. It's a beautiful legacy.
Yeah, it is indeed.
But in that culture, in that time, right? So birth control had come out. Catholics were maybe confused. Do we do birth control? Do we not do birth control? More of the lies that got sold to the church, and
Right.
And people were saying things like, well, the Pope's not going to tell me what to do in my bedroom. This is, that's, my faith doesn't matter here. It's we're all hands off.
Right.
And so that's where it got really confusing. And I think a lot of people in the church bit the apple from the culture, right?
Right.
And now we all know the great fallout of that. So 500,000 people, right? 500,000 couples are involved, right? Which is so exciting. So you think, are we making a difference? Are we training generation to generation?
The mission then, the mission now, is it the same? Has it just grown? Share with us about the vision, the mission, what's happening.
Sure. The vision has remained the same because it's the same natural law. So we're still respecting and understanding ourselves. But I would just say, Mother Church, thank you, Mother Church. I mean, I was given the grace through Couple-to-Couple League to know and understand my fertility in a very scientific way. Now, I have a background in science, so I thought that was neat. But I just have to say, it's ahead of its time, because just now, as you said, we're seeing the new devices come out. They're saying that the femtech market will be $50 billion by 2025. So there's a great appreciation for not just being given a pill, not letting Big Pharma run the narrative that something's wrong with you and you have to be fixed, but instead to actually give you tools to understand how wonderfully and beautifully you're made and how to work with that. It's so fun to watch couples in class, both men and women. Their eyes light up, right, when they see this. It's very personal conversion. That's why it's so powerful. Yeah. Because when you see your temperature rise, for instance, for symptothermal method, 0.4 of a degree, and you know you've ovulated, nobody really believes it applies to them until you actually see it on the chart.
So
and
temperature
like,
up is
wow.
an indicator.
Yes, right. So there's a few different methods out there, but they work on biomarkers, so things that you can observe as a woman. And of course, we teach couple-to-couple, so we get a kick out of the guys sitting in class and they're getting into it because they can graph. And that's really a great benefit to us because it makes you have to communicate with each other in order to use it successfully.
Well, and we work at a pregnancy medical center, and just the wreckage of the lie that birth control was going to solve all of our problems. And I mean, I've had clients who've been on birth control for like 15 years who haven't cycled for 15 years. I mean, could you imagine what against the design, how God created us to be? And it's so empowering because it's natural, and so even people who aren't Catholic are attracted to it just because it's clean and green, right?
Correct.
So you're seeing people come in that way also.
Right, that's right.
And do take it slow
Okay.
for a guy like me and other people out here, there's so many, you know, we talk about fertility science or being aware of your fertility or the apps that I mean, that really goes over the head of so many. What are we looking for? What does it mean, fertility science? What does it mean that they got apps? What are they looking for? One of the things you said was the temperature is like really important within a woman. You know, why is that important? Because it shows that she's ovulating. This is the time that she can become pregnant. So what else are we looking for here? What are the indicators that are just natural to a woman?
Right, so there's a few different methods. Ours is symptothermal, which is highly effective because it cross-checks one against the other, so it gives you a little more reassurance. And so you look at cervical mucus, you could look at temperature. Sometimes they use cervix measurements. And also now the latest thing is hormones. And that's really coming into its own. So we're learning more about that all the time. And then if you look at those and you learn the method properly, then you can tell, first of all, is your cycle healthy? It's a big deal. A lot of people learn from just charting that there's a problem. And so rather than going and getting a birth control pill to fix it, you want to get to the core of why there's a problem. And then we have a beautiful thing like we have a book, Fertility Cycles and Nutrition, gives you really practical nutritional strategies. And then we have Fertility Science Institute, which we just opened, and it has a directory of doctors that can read your chart, can help you. And this is a missing piece sometimes that you learn. Maybe you go into postpartum, you're not sure what to do, where to turn. So we have that Fertility Science Institute so we can provide you help through a lifetime of fertility, no matter what your situation.
Well, and we have parenting classes and we do a whole thing on sexual integrity. So if we don't want to be in an unplanned pregnancy, and we don't want to be having sex outside of the bonds of marriage, all these get so complicated, and then you want to do this naturally.
Right.
And people, I mean, I can tell you, 90% of the women, 95% of the women had no idea that they thought you can get pregnant every time you have intercourse. Or they like, what? I'm ovulating? And so there are so many apps out there, period tracker, where they're learning, because in the shaded area on the calendar, it's telling them this is when they're ovulating.
Right.
Well, I didn't know that what that meant.
Right.
You know, and so it's such an opportunity to educate and to empower and to say you don't have to do that if they choose a healthier way.
Right. Exactly.
When you say that they're using this, is it an app you're saying?
On their phones.
Okay, and so they say this is the time you're ovulating. What's given that information? What are they looking at? Are they looking at the things that is it just temperature? Is it just one part of it? Or is it the mucus? Is it the hormones? Is it the what? What are they getting?
Yeah, it's a good question. So some apps and methods run just by looking at mucus only, others by temperature and mucus, others do actually measure hormones through urine tests.
Doing that.
Well, and then
getting readings.
Right, and then but it's tricky, right? Because Dr. Manhart PhD, just had a study that looked at natural cycles, which was the first FDA-approved birth control app, and he looked at, compared it with our Cycle Pro Go, and found that, really their training was not very stringent on the fertile time, and you run into this problem when you sell something as birth control, right? Then you're kind of denying that sex leads to babies, is what we say. Sex leads to babies, let's deal with it. When you deny it, then you have a failure rate. Then unfortunately people say it's not my fault. I was taking the pill, or I was doing this. And so you have to we're very serious about the scientific basis and about the excellence of our training. At the same time, life is the goal here. So we're very upfront. Sex leads to babies. That's not a failure at all.
Your statement, life is the goal here. Well, that's not our goal regarding sex. That's probably 80% of the people that we see or more are people in the church. So we've lost the life component. We've lost the whole thing of this, a man and a woman together, and it should be in the covenant of marriage, for better or worse, rich or poor. I'm committed to sex and responsibility, as John Paul said. And we have to have this conversation again and again, with the girls. We see 1,000 or so girls coming in.
Many.
And so it's their relationship wasn't about life. It was about having sex, maybe some pleasure. And when they come in, it doesn't seem like it was all that pleasurable. It seemed like they were used, and they're kind of getting that, and the guy's not around, and guess what? He may have 4 or 5 other children from whoever he's got, And it's all this fallout. I would say to Joy, I've never seen women so savaged in my life. I go back to the 50s and up, and I'm saying, wow, you want to talk about, getting used, but life. So you keep saying it's about life. Yeah. It's about understanding procreation. It's about the extension of our being, of humanity. But we've separated that. The culture has separated that. The pill has separated that. Contraception has separated that. And so, as John Paul said, right, in Humanae Vitae, now here's some of the things that are going to take place if we really go down this road.
That's right.
And we're just seeing that all over the place.
He was so prophetic with all of that.
And it breaks your heart.
Yes, it does.
As a woman, I feel so respected that the church took time to teach me about my cycle in a very scientific way that worked, and to allow me to have the power with my husband to work with my fertility. I love the fact that my husband and I have to talk about it. I love the fact that we have to understand it together in order to make this work. And that's why there's a single-digit divorce rate still for couples that practice NFP. You can see why.
Yeah.
Well, because they're communicating on an emotional level, on a physical level, and on a spiritual level. And saying to each other, when this is so beautiful, we choose to be together with the great blessing that we could procreate a child.
Correct.
Are we open for that? How exciting is that?
It's
As
exciting.
opposed to contraception being against life,
Right.
and then if I do get pregnant, then abortion is my other option because it's fruit from the same tree.
It's about discipline for the guy, okay? And we're in a culture right now that just basically says, anytime I want to have sex, I'm supposed to have sex.
Right.
For guys today. And women might feel that way to some degree. I don't know if it's that wonderful for them all the time, and because they bear everything that's taking place. And so couples make a decision, as you're saying, and the guy has to say, no, you can't all the time, because we want the right time for our child. So this is not only about avoiding a pregnancy, it's when is it right for us to do this? And we have to discipline ourselves. The men especially, they need that discipline.
Right. I always call it NFP the boot camp of marriage, because a little discipline gets you great results. And I think that it strives to keep you healthy. You're always trying to make that cycle look good. So it fosters good nutrition for you, then your family. And for women, it fosters good sexual relations, right? Because you're healthy. And so many people on the pill tell me how miserable it is. And so I've been grateful that, I've never had to, my husband and I haven't had that problem.
Right.
Thank God.
Well, and the fallout from the pill with breast cancer.
Oh, my goodness.
And there's so many, I'll say to girls, you don't even know your true authentic self. You don't even know how you really are. And they're like, no, because I had a prescription written for me from the time I was 15. I went to the clinics, and this is how this went.
Right.
And they just continue to take it and never come up for air. It's just kind of like, this is how this is.
Even preteens, they're like the parents are starting them off at age 12 or something, being on the pill.
It's so abusive. So we're really focusing on trying to reach out to all different age groups through Fertility Science Institute. So from mother, daughter, all the way to perimenopause. Each one has its own particular issues, and we like to deal with them, with the group that you're in. And it's so important, right? Because it's a lifetime of fertility.
So what happens with the mother-daughter?
Well, the mother-daughter we enjoy so much because it's very personal. There's maybe not a perfect way to do it, but because the mother and daughter do it together, you talk with your mom. So I've been at other things where the mom sit on one side, the girl sit on another. This one, you sit together and look at the videos. We have different age videos. The mom runs it, so mom's in charge. And so mom says how it goes. But we give you a chart. If your daughter is perhaps a little bit older and is having some cycle difficulties, teach her how to chart. Then teach her, we have a talk about the doctor saying how you speak to a doctor, so that the doctor doesn't kick the mom out of the room, for instance, and then talk about something. So very practical.
Yeah, and it's just incredible because we see so many people coming through. We see generations of people coming through, and I've worked with other people, and it's like so many of these women and younger, they really don't know how they get pregnant.
Right.
Okay, Dr. Alveda King, the niece of Martin Luther King, who I work with, told me this, especially in her community. She said, they don't, I never, how could you not know that they don't know what's going on? And to think that a mother and a daughter, in your case, what you're offering, would sit down together, get over any anxiety or something, that this is natural, beautiful, mother to daughter, daughter to mother, and you're watching great, wholesome things, the wonder of the body. It's just such a gift, and it also sets that child up, because she's been discipled, so that when she gets offered, you know, I love you, I love you, I love you, and let's get together, you know, like that's so much less than what she understands.
Right.
Like, it just would be so much less. I can't go down that road. I know the wonder of marriage and my body.
Correct.
So this is critical for the family, for the restoration of the family.
Absolutely.
We have about 40 seconds left. Just share a closing word for us, and we'll pick this up again on Thursday.
Just that we think often of the great responsibility and the great honor that God does by allowing us to put our hands in His to co-create an eternal soul. And when you come down to that, it kind of puts everything in the right perspective, everything in the right light. It's a serious matter, and we should have respect.
It's beautifully, beautifully said. We've just scratched the surface, so we look forward to tomorrow and sharing more fully. Go to ccli.org. That's ccli.org. You'll see everything that they're offering there. It'll also bring you to the Fertility Institute, Science Institute there. You can click on that and go there. So plenty more to come. We'll be right back. We're building a new culture of life and marriage, and the family couple-to-couple league is in the lead on that. Don't go away.
Now we have Father John Paul with us. Father, what did you think about the beautiful things that Katie was sharing?
Well, a lot of things. I was thinking about there is no accidental life. Every life that comes into existence that is a result of a thought of God. That life is willed. That life is, you know, precious in God's eyes. Life has been brought into existence, even if it wasn't quote unquote willed by the parents. That life is precious. And then this is, like you said, Jim, this is a very tender topic. When we talk about the gift of human sexuality and the love between a husband and wife and children that coming forth from that union, I think a lot of my friends that I think the majority of my friends that I have in Birmingham are married. And I've been able to share a lot with them, and just in them being so open and talking about their struggles and how they live out this method, this reality of this. And they're the most happy.
Right.
They are the most happy couples that I know. I think one of the things that, as you were all talking, it's also not about, it's more than fertility too. Obviously this is charting fertility. It's looking at a woman's fertility and times that she is able to, a couple is able to conceive. But also I've noticed in my friends, they are able to see, when in doing charting, they're able to see areas or times in the month that their spouse is going to be, you know, maybe irritable or having a rough patch.
Maybe.
Maybe.
No, she's a mystery.
No, seriously.
No, it's true.
Seriously.
It's predictable.
They're able, yes. And so there's different times throughout the month that, you know, and you get to know, all of my friends get to know their spouses in such a different way.
It's intimacy, true
That's
intimacy.
real intimacy. There's so many levels to intimacy in married life. Not just sexual intimacy, but there's emotional intimacy, there's, you know, psychological intimacy, there's, you know, so many levels that, you know, once you allow the Lord into those areas of your life, you have nothing to fear. You really should have nothing to fear.
Father, close us in a prayer and with a blessing, please.
Sure. Family, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and may he turn his face to you and be merciful to you. May he show you his kindness and give you his peace. May Almighty God bless you, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Go in peace.
Amen. Thank you
Father.
so much for being with us today in this whole area of sexuality and conceiving of children. And it's a beautiful thing, high thing, but it also reminds me of that verse that all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Very few of us have done this area perfectly. So we're not here to condemn, but we're here to be renewed, refresh, and in the Lord to get a new start every day. Keep it on EWTN. Bye now.